Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahabushai, Bahasham, Rakahak Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahabushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in 2nd Esdras in the Apocrypha, chapter 9, verse 1. He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, which is exactly what the men of the Lord, the prophets of the Most High, chiefly through GMS or Great Millstone, as well as the brothers that come in the spirit of GMS, are doing by reading the scriptures and watching the news, current events, and then filtering the news through the scriptures to go out onto the highways and byways to preach this word, as well as put up these video epistles online to let the people know what times they're living in, the prophetic times of the end, and what the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel, the nation of Israel consisting of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the Israelite foreigners who look like these heathen nations, can do to come back to their power, Yahweh Bahasham Yahabushai, so they can have that protective hedge over them and be saved from the coming calamities of Jacob's trouble, and to also tell the wicked of our people, you hard-headed Israelites who don't want to return under your power, and tell you heathen nations as well that terrible judgment is coming upon you. You're about to be put to death in mass numbers for all the great wickedness you've been committing on this planet. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made to judge you people for your iniquity. Verse 3, Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, some of the end time signs to let you know exactly what times you're living in. And we can clearly see that earthquakes are taking place damn near daily all across the planet, and there's also uproars of the people all across the planet for a whole host of issues, mainly people rising up against their governments because they're seeing that their governments don't have their best interests at heart and are screwing them over. And then when you go to Matthew chapter 24, what does it talk about? Nations rising against nations, one race of people rising up against another. And we can see these racial tensions in the United States of America are at a boiling point, and it's going to come to a point to where that pot's going to boil over, kingdom against kingdom. These major nations going at each other. What have you got? The U.S. and these Western European nations against Russia, the U.S. against China, China against Taiwan, Israel against Iran, etc., etc. Wars, such as the war in Ukraine, and rumors of wars, talks about China invading Taiwan, Israel attacking Iran, World War III, nuclear war, you name it. Pestilences, which what's been taking place back in 2020 and 2021, the C019, then you're hearing what? Marburg, malaria, monkeypox, the bird flu, you name it, and famines. And not just in the U.S., but in other countries, what have we seen? Adverse weather events, destroying farmers' croplands and lessening the yield for that year. Food processing plants mysteriously burning down or getting hit by airplanes, etc., etc., which is going to contribute to these coming biblical famines. And then I always forget his first name. I think it's David Beasley or William Beasley, the head of the UN World Food Program, said that we are coming into times of biblical famines where hundreds of millions of people globally are going to be on the verge of starvation. We truly are living in these biblical end times if you've got the spiritual eye salve to see. Verse 4, Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Hey, through these scriptures, which were written thousands of years ago, with prophecies that were written back then, taking place in their right time, in these times, the times of the end. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Point blank, period. In this video, I'm going to be dealing with the uproars of the people in the world, just to further show that we truly are living in these end times, the end of this current age of the rulership of the heathen nations, chiefly by the biblical Edomites, or these so-called white people, before the second coming of the Son of the Most High, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus Christ, whose true name is Yahushai, and the ushering in of the kingdom of heaven under Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai and the children of Israel. But now I'm going to play the first couple of minutes of this video from This Is John Williams' YouTube channel titled Peru Just Collapsed, 12 Countries to Follow with 100% Proof. And this is a fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. This is simply for educational purposes.
Hey, what's up, guys? John here. Peru has officially collapsed. 24,000 police officers on the ground, 21,000 protesters. Last week, it was the Netherlands.
24,000 police on the ground, 21,000 protesters, uproars of the people. And as we'll see, in other countries, there are people tearing up shit because hey, they're getting to their breaking point with these government policies and taxes that are getting pushed upon them.
The Netherlands collapsed 10 days ago. The Dutch Prime Minister pulled out of government. And then let's not forget, Kenya also collapsed. And France, they had all those protests, 45,000 officers on the ground, $1.5 billion in property damage. That was absolutely crazy. That spread to Switzerland and other areas. I mean, last year as well, remember Sri Lanka collapsed, not even a year ago, 11 months ago. We have all of these situations unfolding. But we have to ask ourselves, where are we headed? Well, in this video, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to show you exactly where we're headed because there's 12 other countries that are on the verge of heading here. And I personally believe that we're going to get it the worst, the West.
America is going to get it the worst. This country, which in the scriptures is known as Babylon the Great, spiritual Sodom in Egypt as pursuant to Revelation 11 verse 8, as well as spiritual Assyria, is going to receive the worst judgment out of any country on the face of the earth. It's going to be the only country to be completely wiped off the face of the earth and be turned into a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland after it's hit by 200 million nuclear missiles during World War III, that third woe in Revelation chapter 9 verse 12, as well as Revelation chapter 11, I believe verse 12 or 14. And leading up to that, many calamities are going to hit this place. Famine, pestilence, civil unrest, martial law, racial skirmishes, you name it. Oh, an economic collapse, of course. They didn't just institute FedNow, and there aren't talks of CBDCs or central bank digital currencies for nothing. We're living in the twilight hours of the US dollar being the world reserve currency before that new system is brought in, that which is going to be predicated upon that charagma, the MARKOFTHEBEAST in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 to 18, which is the RFID/NFC MICROCHIPIMPLANT in the hands or in the forehead. Think of Neuralink or Synchron. But this is Isaiah chapter 24. I'm going to start at verse 7. The new wine mourneth, the vine languisheth, all the merry-hearted do sigh. And polls over the last couple of years have shown that in the United States of America, there's been an increase in depression and alcohol and drug abuse because these people out here are starting to see that, hey, that American dream is really a nightmare. Inflation is eating away at people's incomes and savings. People are having to work multiple jobs just to make it by. Eviction
Evictions are starting to rise up again, so people are getting kicked out of their apartments or homes. Homelessness is on the rise. The list goes on and on. The mirth of the tabrets ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice endeth. The joy of the harp ceaseth. They shall not drink wine with a song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. People drinking and doing drugs to escape reality. But there is no escaping the reality, the judgments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. The city of confusion is broken down, and Babylon in the Hebrew is Babel, which means confusion by mixing. And like I said earlier, the United States of America is known as Babylon the Great, the virgin daughter of Babylon, the mother of harlots in the scriptures. And you can go to Psalms 137 about verses 7 to 9 to see that you Edomites are synonymous with the daughter of Babylon. The city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up that no man may come in. Businesses shutting down because of the deteriorating economic situation out here. People can't find jobs because there are no jobs. There's a crying for wine in the streets. All the joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. And that wine is going in to understanding. People are going to be looking for answers out here. But if you're not of the elect of the nation of Israel, the only answer you're going to receive is the judgments from Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Death, destruction, starvation, misery, etc., etc. So, John Williams is correct in saying the United States of America is going to get it the worst.
America is in big trouble. Very big trouble. I'm going to break it down for you. Please hit the like button. When you hit the like button, YouTube will share this content to educate more people about what's really going on. And if you want to fix your credit, we'd love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. Take a look at this. How Sri Lanka economic...
And real quick, the one thing John Williams is always talking about is how the biggest wealth transfer in history is about to take place. And he's right and he's wrong. The biggest wealth transfer is going to take place with the wealth of the heathens being transferred unto the Israelites, beginning with the elect in the kingdom of heaven. It isn't going to be your average everyday economist or prepper or even these elites transferring the rest of the wealth of the people unto themselves so they can just sail off into the sunset of their NW0. And also it says in in 2nd Ezra chapter 16 that victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. A lot of these economists, like John Williams and other people, say, look, we can find a bright spot in these dark times we're coming into. A lot of people that aren't prepared with having an understanding of crypto or real estate or gold and silver or having built up their portfolio are going to lose, while you can stand to gain when things are pennies for the dollar. Those victuals being so good cheap that they shall think themselves to be in good case. But what does the next part of that verse say? But then shall evils come upon them, sword, famine, plague, and destruction. There is no continuance in this current society, this current paradigm of Esau Edoms. Everything is going to be wiped out. And the real GREATRESET is going to be the kingdom of heaven under the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai in the scriptures.
Collapse raises alarm bells for other emerging markets. Now, this was August 2022, right? August 2022. Now, July 10th, Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte to leave politics after collapse of government. So just for a timeline's sake, because a lot of people they see so many things happening every day. It's a breaking story. So just to show you how fast this is actually progressing, this is July 10th. This is 10 days ago. This is today. 6 dead in Kenya, rocked by nationwide anti-government protests over gas tax. Well, it wasn't just a gas tax. There's also additional small business taxes. I was reading that in Kenya, business owners would have to take out small loans just to pay taxes, not even to make their own ends meet, just to pay taxes, and they were protesting over it. So you had this big situation in Kenya, and it's still going on. In France, just yesterday, 700 people handed prison sentences, 700, 1,000 people arrested. And now they approve a bill in France to allow police to locate suspects by tapping their phones. Pretty crazy, pretty crazy. Peru reports 7 blocked highways as anti-government protests restart. Well, look at just how big this situation is.
We keep hearing anti-government protests, and that's also spoken of in the scriptures. This is 2 Esdras chapter 15. I'm going to start at verse 15. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another. And that goes into many things. One race of people standing up and fighting against another, nation against nation, one political party against another, red versus blue, liberal versus conservative, a class warfare with the lower and middle class going against the upper class, as well as a political actions, civil unrest. These militia groups and even these average everyday Joes, like what we're seeing in Kenya and Peru, rising up against those in the government, and swords in their hands. What? Bats, sticks, clubs, Molotov cocktails, chains. And once this unrest truly breaks out in the United States of America, that modern day sword, the gun. Here's the point. Verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men. And that word sedition means conduct or speech inciting open rebellion against a ruling authority or monarch. Anti-government protests in Kenya, roadways getting blocked in Peru, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. And your modern day kings and princes are these people in the government. Mayors, governors, senators, presidents, prime ministers, as well as the authorities that uphold the system, like the military or the police. And we've been seeing there's been a heavy disregard of the police over in France, a disregard again in Kenya, and a disregard in Peru. 24,000 police having to be called in to quell 21,000 protesters, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power, as it said back in the book of Judges. And in that time, back then, and it's going to be the same sentiment in these times, every man did what was right in his own eyes. Survival of the fittest, dog eat dog.
So this situation, 21,000 people took part in the marches, right? 24,000 police officers were deployed throughout the country in the lead up to the protest, right? They want the entire government to step down in Peru. So you're starting to see these trends.
They want the entire government to step down, and there shall be sedition among men, not regarding their kings nor princes.
That are following. And we just have to ask ourselves, well, what happens next? How does this whole thing play out? Well, look at this. This is crazy. So the White House.
What happens next? What plays out? Hey, the Most High visiting this world and judging you people for all the iniquity you've been committing on it. So that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Atwath were edified. Just keep strong, as we can clearly see we are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharallah, and until next time, Shalom.